Two teenagers have died as the result of a collision south of Hawk Springs on Highway 85 Wednesday night. KNEB.TV News starts right now.
From your trusted source for news in western Nebraska and eastern Wyoming, this is KNEB.TV News. Presented by Platte Valley Companies, premier provider of financial services.
Hello, I'm Ryan Murphy. This is KNEB.TV News, powered by Platte Valley Companies. Thanks for joining me. In our top story, a semi-driver is being blamed for a double fatal crash that occurred Wednesday night in Goshen County. The Wyoming Highway Patrol says a Ford Taurus was attempting to make a left-hand turn onto Highway 313 south of Hawk Springs, and a northbound tractor-trailer tried to pass the Ford on the right shoulder. The semi collided with the car, causing it to roll over. The Ford driver, 18-year-old Corey Bowers of Canada, and 19-year-old passenger Emma Nelson of Adams County, Nebraska, both died from their injuries. The semi-driver was uninjured. Well, the U.S. Department of Transportation's National Highway Traffic Safety Administration is teaming up with the Scottsbluff Police Department to make sure you make it to the table this Thanksgiving. Scottsbluff Police Sergeant Philip Eckerberg says there will be extra enforcement on our roadways next week.
Well, first of all, our ground will go the Wednesday before Thanksgiving through the Sunday after Thanksgiving. It'll be primarily seatbelt enforcement. So that'll be our focus. Of course, we'll be looking for all traffic violations. Seatbelts are a secondary violation, so we have to make the traffic stop and write a citation for something besides a seatbelt before we can do the seatbelt enforcement. So we'll be looking for all traffic violations to make those stops and then check for seatbelts.
Eckerberg says officers will also be out this weekend conducting a seatbelt survey to see drivers' seatbelt usage. We'll have more news right after this.
At Platte Valley Bank, you don't have to be like a tortoise and carry your home on your back. They have mortgage experts that can help you finance the home that's perfect for you. Whether you're a first-time home buyer, looking for your next home, or simply want to refinance the home you're in, the experienced lenders at Platte Valley Bank are there to help. Contact them at pvbank.com or call and visit with one of the mortgage experts to take advantage of great rates at Platte Valley Bank.
If you're like me, you're willing to travel for a good steak and a great dining experience. Bobby Joe's Branding Iron in downtown Bayard has just that. Some of the Panhandle's tastiest flat iron steaks, ribeyes, and even prime rib. Pair that with a Western dining experience in our quiet dining room or fun-filled main dining area, you and your family are sure to have a great night out on the town. So if you're looking for a great new restaurant to try, you just gotta head on over to Bobby Joe's Branding Iron in Bayard, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch and dinner. Welcome back. A 31-year-old Gering man who was charged earlier this month for altering a positive COVID test as a way to delay his own sentencing has learned his fate. Jonathan Latham was arrested following a 2019 car crash and was found to be in possession of more than 3 grams of methamphetamine and a handgun. He had been sentenced to 3 years of probation, but after several violations, probation was revoked. He was scheduled to be resentenced on November 3rd, but was granted a continuance after submitting a positive COVID test to the court. Further investigation revealed that Latham had photocopied and doctored his brother's test from mid-October and submitted it as his own. Yesterday, Latham was sentenced to 7 to 10 years in prison on the weapons and drug charges and received credit for 318 days in jail already served. Sticking with the courts now, as the Alliance man arrested for a pursuit and double attempted carjacking last April has been sentenced. Earlier this year, 19-year-old Colton Farr entered no contest pleas to felony charges, including attempted first-degree criminal assault, first-degree false imprisonment, and intentional child abuse without injury, as well as 7 misdemeanors. This week in court, Box Butte County District Judge Travis O'Gorman sentenced Farr to 5 years of probation, plus jail time that had already been served. Farr could have faced a maximum of 20 years in prison on his Class 2A felony, but with a minimal criminal record, O'Gorman opted for Farr to have a probation sentence. And Nebraska's 2nd District Congressman Don Bacon voted in favor of the infrastructure bill signed into law earlier this week, saying he helped craft the bill. But 3rd District Congressman Adrian Smith, meanwhile, voted against it.
You know, there's a variety of opinion. I think the bill could have been fashioned in an even more bipartisan way, but that was not an avenue that was pursued. So, you know, like I said, I respect my colleagues who thought differently, but I think it lacked some components that would make it more effective for stretching the dollars further.
Senator Ben Sass and Congressman Jeff Fortenberry also voted against the bill, with Senator Deb Fischer voting in favor. The measure allocates about $3 billion to Nebraska for bridges, public transportation, electric vehicle charging stations, high-speed internet, water infrastructure, and airport upgrades. Well, still to come, Bill with your weather and Sean Callahan in with the latest installment of Husker Chat. KNEB.TV News will be back right after this.
Welcome to Kelly's, home of the Valley's best selection of wine, spirits, and beer. Whether you're brand loyal to the tried and true brew or really enjoy trying something different and new, Kelly's has something for everyone. Family owned and operated and right on your way on West 27th Street in Scottsbluff. Kelly's Liquor. If you can't find it at Kelly's, it's not worth drinking.
Logos in Gering is the place to get all of your school spirit gear, personalized gifts, and promotional items for your business and employees and banners for any special event. Logos is also the only place to stop for custom screen printing or embroidery. You can even design it yourself on their interactive website. Stop into Logos today. They'll design it, print it, and have it to you in no time. There's no job too big or small for Logos. That's Logos in Gering.
What a year 2020 was. Now's the time to get out and travel this summer to see family and friends you were not able to see this last year. Spend more time enjoying your trip by flying United Airlines, operated by SkyWest with daily flights to and from Denver. Reserve your flight today and remember United miles can be earned and redeemed with your flights. While at the airport, stop and enjoy authentic Italian food at Roma Italian Restaurant. And don't forget, Thrifty Car Rental is here for your car rental needs. Make life easier, relax, and hitch a ride with your BFF, Western Nebraska Regional Airport.
This is KNEB.TV weather from the KNEB Storm Center, your trusted source for weather.
Well, very quiet weather conditions here across the high plains. Temperatures falling through the 40s and into the 30s by early tomorrow morning, but a mild night out there for the most part. It's going to be cooler this weekend. Monday, Tuesday look quite nice, and then it's going to be colder for Thanksgiving, but whether or not we get any precip, that's still up in the air, and we'll have to keep an eye on that. Yesterday, a morning low of 8. We got to 54, though, in the afternoon. Didn't get nearly that cool of a start today and warmed up from that as well. Nothing in the rain gauge here as we go across the last 24 hours. As you can see, there's 40s and some low 50s out here across our region here as we go through the evening hours. Cooler readings off to the north, warmer readings to the south, and right in the North Platte River Valley where we're in the 50s. Winds a little gusty at times. Sustained winds at 5 to 15. We do have a few gusts in that 15 to 20, 25, even close to 30 mile an hour range. So that's dropping wind chills mostly into the, not a lot of wind chill issues there with temps mostly in the 50s. As we look across the area, lots of clouds to start the evening. We'll partly cloudy those out later on tonight. And lows are going to fall off, but not a great deal, only down into the low to mid 30s for most of us, upper 20s in the northern portions of the region. Now tomorrow we'll reset the day with partly cloudy skies to start. Now we can't rule out, I think by late afternoon tomorrow, an isolated sprinkle or wet snow shower here across the region in that northwesterly flow. Not going to be a lot of it, but can't rule out a few of those late tomorrow night. And we're going to see high temperatures tomorrow stay in the 50s and upper 40s in northern portions of the Panhandle. So tonight we'll call it partly cloudy, 36 for your low. Tomorrow it's going to be partly cloudy again. Winds out of the northwest at 10 to 15. We'll be in the mid-50s. We stay in the mid-50s on Sunday. Monday, Tuesday we warm up. Maybe a bit breezy Tuesday in front of that next system. Then much cooler Wednesday and Thursday. Highs only in the 40s and maybe 50. with at least some chance of showers. We've got a 20% chance on there for Wednesday, Thursday, where the ultimate timing and direction of that system ends up still in question as we look out about 5 or 6 days.
Fox Butte General Hospital's mission is to lead and innovate in healthcare delivery and community wellness. This is important to us so our community knows the importance that we place on the efforts to keep our community and our surrounding areas well. We appreciate being here. The staff that we have at Fox Butte General Hospital is grateful to serve the community of Alliance, Nebraska.
Who is Hydrotex? Hydrotex manufactures and distributes over 300 different high-performance lubricants, including fuel conditioners, hydraulic and transmission fluid, and more. We've been helping customers improve their operations for more than 80 years with products made in the USA. We sell directly to customers and can even deliver right to your door to offer excellent service and value. Our products are made to exceedingly extend drain and grease intervals to reduce maintenance and labor costs to improve the budget. Whether you're in a factory, farm fleet, or like to go fast, Hydrotex is here to help. Visit your local Hydrotex dealer in person or online today.
The Evergreen Credit Card by FNBO. Earn unlimited 2% cash back on every purchase. Every day. Everywhere. Never worry about expiring points or category restrictions. Plus, there's no annual fee. Only from the Great Big Small Bank. A bank ever ready for you to earn more, wherever life leads. Evergreen by FNBO.
It's time for another installment of Husker Chat, brought to you by Acres Equipment. I'm Jason Jorgensen, as always, joined by Sean Callahan, the publisher of Husker Online. Sean, a lot has happened since we last talked. There's been a lot of movement in the Husker football program, at least on your side. What have you kind of sensed from Husker Nation in terms of the deal that Trev Alberts was able to strike with Scott Frost to bring him back next year for a 5th year?
Yeah, it was far from an off week around the Husker football last week, Jason. And I think it was one of those tough weeks. And I said this all along. If they're ever going to make a move on Scott Frost, it was going to have to be obvious. And I still feel it's not in that area. I mean, I think you would have really split a lot of the fan base by parting ways at the 4-year point, especially with how close they've been in some games against very good teams this year. Even as far back as last week against Ohio State. And I think Trev said, like, let's figure out a way to make this work. And they came up with a solution. Scott Frost obviously lowered that buyout, which was $20 million right now. And now it will be $7.5 million after next season, plus lowered his base pay until he actually improves things on the field with wins. So I think it was a huge win for Nebraska to come to that conclusion. And then Scott Frost, had to do a very difficult thing and part ways with 4 assistant coaches. There's never an easy time. There's never a good time to do this thing. Sometimes you see coaches not fire guys, but just say, hey, find a job. I'll let you find a job. And you got until then. I think in this situation, they said, look, we got to make a statement that we're going in a new direction right now. And, you feel for all 4 of these coaches. But that's the business of coaching, and it's not fun when these things happen. But Nebraska hasn't gotten it done the last 4 years, and they've got to figure out a new way to get this thing fixed.
How much of a challenge is that going to be for Frost to find assistant coaches in a year in which a lot of people realize Frost himself certainly will be on the hot seat from day one? Now, you follow this pretty closely. Will there be a lot of applicants who are okay with saying, hey, I got a 1-year shot here to help turn this thing around?
Well, there's a few things there, Jason. 2-year contracts and maybe even a 3-year contract for the right coordinator, that's guaranteed money. And if your salary can be doubled or who knows, tripled with the amount of money Nebraska can pay these hires, they essentially have $2.8 million freed up on the salary cap to hire 4 coaches. And I don't know if they'll spend all 2.8 of that, but that's the amount of money they have. And if you say, look, I can pay you $1.1 million, 2 years guaranteed, or even 3, I don't know if they'd be willing to do that. That's going to get anyone's attention. And coaches don't stay at schools very often for longer than 4 years as it is. So I think this, era we grew up in where coaches stay at a school for 20 years, it doesn't necessarily happen like that as much. So you would be surprised when you can double a guy's salary on a 2-year contract, how many people will want to bet on themselves and take that opportunity. But you're right, it is something to consider with, this could be it for Scott Frost if he doesn't have a good year next year.
Today in Husker Chat, we're joined by Sean Callahan. It's brought to you by Acres Equipment. Also, in the time since we last talked, tough to see JoJo Domann say he has played his final game as a Husker, but certainly you can understand that as he looks to get healthy and right before going to the NFL Combine.
Yeah, had hand surgery last week on Monday after the Ohio State game. Played one of his best games of his career against the Buckeyes. Tough deal because, right now he needed it repaired. If he kept playing on it, he could risk possible full reconstruction of his hand. And he's 24 years old. He can't really sustain another major injury if he wants to continue to play football at the next level. He'll be a 25-year-old NFL rookie next year. So JoJo Domann gave everything he could in Nebraska. He played 51 games here. He's ranked 11th all-time on solo tackles, just behind guys like Mike Brown, Broderick Thomas, to name a few. So he has given this program everything he could the last 6 years. Unfortunately, they couldn't have a great breakthrough win season like you would have liked to have seen for him. But I think he'll leave here as one of the more fan favorite players we've seen on defense the last few years.
Well, this week it doesn't get any easier for the Huskers traveling to Wisconsin. The Badgers have been one of the more improved teams all year long. They got up to a rough start, but credit Paul Chryst and his staff. They've got things headed in the right direction, and this is a very, very good defense that the Huskers will face on Saturday. Badgers are only giving up 7 points per game.
Yeah, you look at Wisconsin, and they had the 3 early losses to Penn State and Michigan, and obviously Notre Dame. And I think we were like, well, this is finally going to be that 6-6 type year, or maybe they wouldn't even make a bowl game at that point. But credit Paul Chryst and their program. Defense and running the football will always take you a long way. They play elite defense. They have all year, and they have finally found a way to run the ball at a way to win. And, Braylon Allen, the 17-year-old, we talk about JoJo Domann being 24. Braylon Allen, their freshman running back, 17. He's gone 6 straight weeks with over 100 yards rushing and scored 3 touchdowns, had 25 carries for 170 plus against Northwestern last week. So that will be the challenge. I am intrigued, though, Jason. They have not seen a quarterback like Adrian Martinez, one that can run and do things with his feet. Noah Vedril's the only guy with any kind of real mobility they have faced all year. So that will be something to watch. How will their defense respond to Martinez? And can Martinez hurt them with his legs?
Do you expect to see many wrinkles from Nebraska offensively? You are what you are, despite the fact there's some new guys filling in the last 2 weeks of the season, helping with the offense.
I wouldn't be surprised if we continue to see more of that triple option. That has just given teams. I talked to some coaches about that, and they're like, teams in the Big Ten don't know how to defend that. Ohio State was having a hard time with it. Northwestern, as we know, had a hard time with it. I think that triple option, which, as we know, was inspired by UNK. We talked off air about this, Jason, and kind of what Josh Lynn does. Nebraska runs versions of that in their offense now, and it's given people problems because you just don't see it week after week.
All right, we'll see what happens on Saturday when the Huskers head to Madison. Sean, have a safe trip up north, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right, thanks, Jason.
You bet. And that was Sean Callahan, the publisher of Husker Online. Joining us for our Husker Chat is brought to you by Acres Equipment. I'm Jason
Jordan. The Evergreen Credit Card by FNBO. Earn unlimited 2% cash back on every purchase. Every day. Everywhere. Never worry about expiring points or category restrictions. Plus, there's no annual fee. Only from the Great Big Small Bank. A bank ever ready for you to earn more, wherever life leads. Evergreen by FNBO.
When it comes to helping local folks with the loans and financial advice they need, we don't horse around. Our only goal is to help you and your family achieve your financial goals with the right loans and savings products. So if you want to bank with people that care about you and your financial needs, stop by or give us a call. First State Bank. We're big on you. Member FDIC. Online at fsbcentral.com.
Well, let's take a peek at what's happening on your weekend community calendar. That's a look at today's community calendar, brought to you by First State Bank, honoring those who give back. Nominate your community champion at fsbcentral.com.
Find out what convenient really means at the Western Travel Terminal. Start with our great selection of food and drinks, from for real milkshakes and fresh brewed coffee to snacks and hot food. Next, check out our beer and spirits with their everyday low prices. Finally, let us work for you with our full-service gas station and automatic truck and car wash. All this can be found at 822 South Beltline in Scottsbluff. Western Travel Terminal, your convenient shopping, restaurant, and full-service gas leader.
Why bank at a local community bank? When you choose a local community bank, you keep money in our local economy. That money helps support local jobs, schools, and businesses. Money that helps fund a stronger and prosperous community for us all to enjoy and live in. At Platte Valley Bank, we are here to help build and support the community we love being a part of. We believe that together, we can make great things happen. Platte Valley Bank.
And finally tonight, the Morrill Rotary Club, partnering with Rotary District 5440, presented Morrill Public Schools a check for $10,000 this week for a new well drilled at the site of the school's new agriculture education complex in Morrill. Superintendent Joe Sherwood says the flat work was poured today with structural steel anticipated in mid to late January. He says if all goes well, the facility should be ready for occupancy in April, if not earlier. The Morrill Schools Agriculture Education Complex will provide hands-on career and technical education to students from both Morrill and Mitchell Public Schools, as the two schools have a joint FFA chapter. Well, that does it for us this time. Have a great Thanksgiving. I will be off all of next week, but we'll be back at the news desk on the 29th.